6, plus a citizens class, plus Saturday sections as well. So we teach morning, we teach evening, Saturdays. It has just exploded. It's fitting a need that I think from reading about when Walker Square was re-envisioned to be an education center, the positioning of where it is on the south side of Milwaukee is unique to the state of Wisconsin, maybe even regionally, the kind of outreach that you and the power that you have just with that location. And we have people coming into our education center enrolling even now, every day, morning, afternoon, evening. They want to be there. They want to take classes. They are looking at the things that I see all around posted for 2025, the goals. They're looking at empowering themselves, gaining a better life for them and their families. And that is what MATC is providing. And it's really incredible. I'm going to keep my comments short because what I want to do is invite you to come and see Walkers. I want to invite you to my class. I want you to meet my students. I'm sure other people would be more than welcome to have you swing by and visit and see what we're doing, and continue the conversation. Be curious about Walkers, ask questions. A question I would suggest is, what is the growth plan? Because we have over 400 students this semester learning English, among other things, citizenship, like I said. And we are uniquely positioned to do some incredible things there. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. I just noticed we do have 4 people signed up to speak. The last person does not have a topic because the 3 that do have a topic are all the same topic. And we do have one of our protocols that no more than 3 people can be heard on the same topic. And so because I don't have a topic for the last person, I'm unclear if that's going to be that, because otherwise I have to talk to the board for an exception. Is it Anastasia? What is your topic?
It has to do with our community education and specifically having to do with Walkers.
So the same bilingual? Okay, so then that provides more than 4 people, which is in the protocols for public comment, because there wasn't one listed here, and I just realized that because I thought it was a different topic, but there's no topic. So that means there are, because right now our public comment guidelines are that no more than 3 people can be heard on one side of a topic, and so that would provide 4 people on that same side of the topic. So I'm just providing in that. So we would have to have, if the board so wishes, majority of the board would have to agree to listen to more than 3 people on that same topic. So I apologize for not doing it before we got started, but there wasn't a topic listed. So what is the desire of the board to be able to, because there are 4 people talking on the same topic?
Do you need a motion?
I guess just some discussion. Yes, sir.
I'm not going fine with that.
Okay. So we'll be fine with that. And again, nobody can speak more than 5 minutes individually. I just want to make sure that regardless of how many people. So our next person that has signed up to speak is Shelley Miller.
Wow, did you say Miller?
I did. Is that wrong?
That's wonderful.
Oh,
That's so rare.
Oh.
Thank you. As she said, my name is Shelley Miller. I am also speaking on behalf of Bilingual ESL at the Walker Square campus. I'm kind of going off the cuff because we just had a meeting. So I was an LTE, and I don't know how often you've heard from LTE staff, but to give you, again, a little background, so Dawn is a colleague of mine, and she has taught specifically at Walker Square for the last several years. She and I were hired at the same time, as a matter of fact. And I started out at Walker Square, but then I was subsequently put in as a part-time ESL faculty downtown. When a year and a half ago, 3 semesters ago, I was brought on as an LTE ESL instructor, bilingual ESL instructor. I knew what I was taking on in terms of what LTE meant, limited term employment. I knew it could be, kind of cut off at any time, but it was indicated to me every semester that the numbers were there. It's growing. And so in December, once kind of, you start to wonder what's going to happen second semester. The numbers were there. I had a schedule. It was in my self-service at, MATC self-service, which shows our class schedules, and my classes were pretty much full. Then in January, I was told that my LTE was going to be discontinued. And by that time, my insurance had already been discontinued. So I went for a few days without insurance. And I actually had taken a trip, which I, in hindsight, shouldn't have taken, because I had thought that my position would be continued. So I wanted to give you an idea of sort of what being an LTE has sort of been like in that respect. I'm very concerned for my students at Walker Square because there aren't enough classes for them. My students reached out to me time and time again over the break. What's going on with my class? Where do I show up? Because they didn't have, and I could not tell them any information. I couldn't share any information regarding where we were going to meet or anything, because at that time, no one was responding to my emails. I would reach out to the people who had made the decisions, and no one responded to the emails. So I had nothing to tell students for weeks and weeks. And so fortunately, there were 4 of us who were hired LTE. A couple of us have received word that the LTE was extended. One of them was yesterday. She just started back yesterday. Mostly I am concerned for the students and the fact that they don't have, I'm concerned that our bilingual Spanish speaking students will not have a place to go, and that MATC's reputation will be hurt because they talk. This population is very big on word of mouth. And I'm worried don't know what to tell them where to go. I also wanted you to understand what it means kind of to be an LTE and how greatly it affects you, how much it has affected this semester for me. And I thought that it would not look like this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, sorry, put my glasses. Here is Berta Barillas.
Is it okay if she goes before me just for this context and what Anastasia will say?
Sure.
Yep.
So I want to make sure I have, so was it Anastasia?
Besnick-Frieseke.
Yep. That was sorry, so there's a line.
Usually people need help with that. Yes. Thank you. Good afternoon, all of you. I appreciate you having us here. I'm Anastasia Besnick-Frieseke. I primarily teach in the former pre-college for over 5 years. I've been instructional chair of AV programs at the campuses. With the transition to guided pathways, our department was under general education pathway for 2 years. Today, it stands alone as an employer in community education, not as an academic pathway, despite providing academic programming for students seeking to build their foundational academic and language skills. GED, HSED, and ELL are academic areas that fall under community education. Our department provides these courses at the CBOs and the MATC campuses to a diverse student population. At Walker Square, we offer bilingual GED, HSED, and IETs. As much as I'd like to discuss the successes and concerns regarding our programs under the new leadership and the current non-academic pathway design, I'm here today to talk about the bilingual ELL classes that are offered at Walker Square and the students we serve. Over the last few years, including during COVID, there has been increased enrollment. Students refer family, neighbors, friends, and coworkers. Primarily, these students come from the neighborhood and are Hispanic. They prefer Walker Square because many of the staff speak Spanish, and it feels like a community, especially as students learn to navigate the educational system in the United States. Some of these students have a high school diploma or higher from their home country, but many have not completed their education in their home country. MATC offers these ELL students the opportunity to pursue an education that often has previously been denied to them. As the need to increase the number of ELL classes at Walker's has occurred, a conscious effort has been made to assign Spanish-speaking bilingual ELL faculty. Their holistic instructional approach models best instructional practices. Additionally, conscious effort has been made to offer the needed different language acquisition level classes and a schedule that works for our students who often work, have family or other obligations that limit the time they have to attend in-person classes, which is their preference. With this growth has come challenges. Despite ongoing HR postings, we have struggled to hire part-time bilingual ELL faculty. With a restriction on hiring full-time faculty for the last 3 semesters, we have requested the extension of 4 bilingual ELL full-time LTE faculty. In December, when enrollments for spring justified this need, a formal request was submitted, but unfortunately, this request was originally denied. Numerous communications among faculty, staff, and administration followed to address the concerns we, the staff and faculty, knew would arise if classes were canceled and students were turned away. The week before classes began, 1 full-time LTE was approved. As a result, despite enrollment, 3 classes were canceled, 3 were modified by reducing contact hours so that 1 of the part-time faculty received a 60% load. This weekend, that 1 faculty was offered the full-time LTE to address the unassigned class that had a delayed start date. Bilingual GED classes were also impacted by the reshuffling of faculty. Ultimately, the cancellation of bilingual ELL classes that generally are at capacity or will be since students continue to walk into Walker Square is, I believe, a disservice to the community. If additional bilingual ELL faculty are available, additional sections could be opened. If the 2 other full-time LTEs had been approved, students would not have been turned away. If the 4 full-time ELL faculty from other campuses who have recently retired would have been replaced, we may not have found ourselves in this situation. Most of the current Walker Square bilingual ELL spring classes are at or above capacity, with only a few seats still available, despite students continuing to want to register. We have been told to refer the students to summer or fall classes. That demonstrates to me a lack of understanding the needs of our students and does not provide them the service and accessibility they need. The process of canceling classes despite enrollment involved calling students who have arranged their spring schedules, changing classrooms, reassigning faculty, postponing to late start without knowing whether or not a faculty will become available is not good practice when the best option was to assign the 4 part-time faculty to full-time LTE. To me, it appears there's a lack of knowledge about and inequity of services provided for the community education students, including those at Walker Square. I ask that the college review the long-term plan for ELL and GED programs with input from those who work in the weeds and work directly with the students, so that the goals are aligned with MATC's mission and values. Moreover, with the goal of becoming a Hispanic serving institute, it is imperative that we provide equitable academic opportunities for those who may not yet qualify as college students today, but who may matriculate to their programs as they learn what MATC offers, what job possibilities exist, receive quality instruction, and have positive learning experiences at MATC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I've provided copies if anyone would like to see the statement. Okay,
We're not. Thank you. And then page here, we have Berta Bareilles.
If I may, would you like to look at some numbers? No?
No,
Okay.
comments can be there. Not that we don't want to, it's just not part of our protocol. I want you to think that we're not interested. It's just not something we're able to look at.
Okay, are we prohibited from receiving paper?
We can give that to Beth, but we have to be able to look at that. That's what we talked about before. And then she can distribute them.
I don't think I'm aware of that. Is that in our bylaws?
The practice that we followed since I've been on the board. But
Yeah, because I mean, member of the public, I mean, if she wants to give us something as members of the public and we're representative public
Should we take this
servants.
offline or discuss
Yep.
it later?
Yeah, okay.
yeah, you can leave whatever you have here with us and we'll be able to take a look at it. Thank you.
Okay. And it was pretty much just to give some context because we talk about enrollment numbers at Walker's, and so I have actual figures for you to look at. So we're not talking about something that's coming out of the clouds here. My name is Berta Varias, and I work at Walker Square as the academic support specialist. I stand before you as a representative for students enrolled at Walker Square. Located on the south side in the heart of the Latino community, Walker's has become the hub for Latino immigrant students who look to start or continue their education. When I started at Walker's in 2019, the ESL population was just a little bit over 100 students. This past fall, the population increased to over 400 students. Without any marketing, we have seen enrollment increase year after year for the past 4 years. Yet we are experiencing a crisis because our students are being denied their classes this semester. We all know that in order for classes to roll out, there must be an adequate number of students registered in each section. That's not an issue for us. Phones at Walker Square never stop ringing. Walk-ins enter our building on a daily basis, not as individuals, but they come as families, sometimes in groups of 4 or 5. Our enrollment for spring has been firm since November, as we post-test every single one of our classes. Before we closed out the fall semester, we already had our spring numbers in place. As a matter of fact, we were well above double digits and exceeding capacity for many of our evening classes. However, on January 10th, we informally came to find out that multiple classes were going to be canceled. How could this be when we have been consistently enrolling students on a daily basis? When I asked this question, there was no viable answer provided to our team, nor was there any urgency to resolve it. When reaching out to higher ups, bringing this to their attention and requesting a meeting to address this, we simply received a one-sentence email stating that the solution was being worked on. That was absolutely false. It was Walker's staff who stayed late and worked extra hours to configure the schedule in order to save these classes. Not our job, not paid extra, but we did it. Days before the semester was due to start, already overextended with our job duties, we had to clean up a mess that we did not create. I'm sure you're aware of the migration patterns occurring globally. When we are told by decision makers that students at Walker's are about to lose their classes because of enrollment issues, that is a blunt lie. Enrollment for Walker's has never been an issue, nor do I foresee it to be one. It's being perceived by students that Walker's promised them a class that was never going to come into fruition. This is unjust and it is unethical. All of this work, actually exceeding enrollment, all of the hours ensuring that registration was met before January, dismantled. As the student-facing advisor, I am the one receiving complaints from the students, surely not those at the top. Whose responsibility is it to explain to them what happened? And I would like that question answered myself. What did happen? I'm very disappointed and frankly insulted in the decisions that have been made to cancel our classes. If the ESL program is not the foundation of Walker Square, then please tell me what is. Students intentionally seek out Walker's because it is in their neighborhood, it is close to their job or to their kids' school, there's parking available, there's staff that they can speak to and who will understand them, and maybe most important, there are instructors who are bilingual who they can ask questions to and clarify what is not being understood. Yet, MATC is denying one of the most, if not the most, vulnerable populations their education. The refugee student from a war-torn country would love to have the opportunity to study and begin a new life. The immigrant student would love to learn English so that they can contribute to society. The documented college student would love to pay the way for their tío, their prima, or their cuñada to start classes in a setting that is inclusive and equitable. The adult learner who had to stop attending school at the age of 10 because they had to work in order to help their family would love to show their American-born children that it is possible to achieve the American dream. For the students who could not be here today because they are yet finding their voices through our ESL classes, I speak on their behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all for people who spoke to the board and sharing your concerns. The board cannot respond to the matter because they were not posted under the state Wisconsin open meetings law. However, we will follow up with any topics that were addressed there as we typically do with information that's presented during this time. We will move on to the next topic on our agenda, which is approval of the minutes. So can I have a motion for approval of the minutes from our regular board meeting of December 13th, 2022?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do any questions or corrections on there that people noticed? Not, we had a motion by Director Mays and a second by Director Foley to approve the minutes from our regular board meeting of December 13th, 2022. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Point of order.
Yes.
I just don't know if anyone has noted that another member of the board has joined the meeting or when.
I wouldn't do that. Thank you. Thank you. I was hoping somebody would eventually when it's being maybe so.
Just gonna get to a screen.
Well, I know, I think that it's there, so,
Yeah.
but it's still, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But we've been still continually trying to work on that, so. Okay. Next are consent agenda items, which are listed for us there. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move approval of consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or items to be discussed under the consent agenda?
I have two.
Sure.
One is that I noted with a, both a little joy and a little sadness, the retirement date for Gwendolyn Green, who has served this board well and wanted to make sure that we all congratulated her on that. So congratulations. Well deserved. And the second was a question. I noticed a number of employees were called seasonal, in that their terms were ending. Could someone just explain what that means? Is that like for recruitment or for enrollment or something? Or
Yeah, they are for short-term projects. It could be to help out in enrollment. It could be to help out in recruitment, some of those types of areas. But I don't think that the report specified where they actually are coming from. Is that information that you want to see where they're coming from?
it was just a term I wasn't familiar. I've heard LTEs, part-time, whatever, but seasonal was a different term. And so I'm assuming it had to do with enrollment, semester starting, something. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we had a motion by Director Baker and a second by Director Mays to approve the consent agenda items. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next, we have our board action item, and we have actor Kevin Mullen is with us from Beard tonight. Mr. Meehan is without internet in a different state. So Kevin, you can come up here and join us. Is there a motion to for resolution F026001 -23 to authorize the sale of $1.5 million general obligation promissory notes series 2022's 2023H of the Milwaukee Area Technical College District?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Mullen.
Well, thank you very much. I know that this is a very well-worn path for board members. It's not unusual to have this at your as a board agenda item. But I did want to, at the end of this, just talk about one aspect of this that was a little bit unusual given the current marketplace. But what's before you today is that $1.5 million general obligation promissory note. It's one of 12 issuances that you do throughout the year. This borrowing was issued at a true interest cost after bids were taken today at a 2.618%. Which is a very good interest rate in the current interest rate environment. We've had interest rates come down over the past few weeks, and I think that that's reflective of the current market. The dated and settlement date is February 9th of 2023. That's when you'll receive the proceeds with the first interest payment due on June 1st of 2023. The bonds are the notes are not callable. And importantly, your credit rating was affirmed at a AA1 and the rating is attached. The winning bidder was Huntington Securities, Inc. And I mentioned that that was a 2.618%. What was unusual about the sale this morning is that Huntington was the only bidder. So we had 4 bidders signed up at the beginning of the morning, and by the time we took bids, we only received 1 bid. But it's very indicative of what's happening in the interest rate environment right now. Like over the past couple of days, municipal interest rates or municipal bonds are very rich compared to taxable bonds or treasuries, meaning that they seem expensive when an investor is comparing the 2 options. Comparatively, interest rates on municipal bonds are lower than treasuries on a, after taking that into consideration. And so I think it was just maybe a little bit of pushback generally in the market where the underwriters weren't finding available buyers, and so they backed off on their bid. Huntington thankfully had buyers in hand, and so they put a bid in. I think what's important is that this is an indicatively market rate for this transaction. So in that case, we just want to make sure that this interest rate reflects what is reasonable for a AA1 interest rate, and we feel that it is. Turning the page from the summary, we've updated your annual borrowings for the 2022-23 school year to include this. And we are tracking as we would expect with your budget. And so this is in lockstep with what is being anticipated for the budget with regard to debt service. And then lastly, I will just again reference the Moody's credit rating review. Nothing has changed from your prior credit rating. So again, affirmed at that AA1.
Dr. Baker.
Yeah, so this is the first time we're seeing this since our audit, correct?
I believe that is the case. I'm actually not.
No language changed.
No language change. That's my understanding. No.
Awesome. That's a good thing.
Yes,
Great.
it's a great question.
Dr. Foley.
What would we do if we didn't have any bidders?
Again, your options would be to try the sale again. Your other option would be to approach an underwriter and negotiate the terms of the sale, as opposed to doing it on a competitive basis.
Thank you.
Good question too.
There are options. That's good to know.
Okay. I want to make sure if there is a question up there that I can see.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we did have a motion by Director Foley and a second by Director Mays for resolution F02600-01-23 authorizing the sale of $1.5 million general obligation promissory notes series 2022-2023H. Gwen, can you please take a roll call?
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mays,
Aye.
Director Moore Umakonde.
Aye.
Director Baker
Aye.
and Director Olson.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a resolution that allows us to go out to market for next month, which is F0261-01-23 that authorizes the issuance of $1.5 million general obligation promissory note series 2022-2023I of the Milwaukee Area Technical College. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll
Yep.
second.
Any follow-up on that? I know it's your team, but I want to make sure that. Okay, now we had a motion by Director Mays and a second by Director Baker. Gwen, can you please take a roll call vote?
Sure. Director Case,
Aye.
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mays,
Aye.
Director Moore Umakonde,
Aye.
Baker
Aye.
and Director Olson.
Aye. Move on to item C, which is approval of the board self-evaluation instrument. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve it.
I'll second.
This was presented in December. So any questions or comments? Dr. Baker?
Sure. So I did send an advance to the chair and the vice chair, and my apologies to the board, because I really should have raised this last month and I just wasn't paying enough attention. I apologize. I will vote for this document today. I'm not opposed to it. I just want us to be thoughtful as a board, and in 3 of the items, the board is, in my mind, the language has us very passive. So like in item 6, we understand the college facilities plan. You know, we understand and we review, we understand and we act, we understand and we approve. And in many things, we have an action part of that. So just as we're filling this out, I want us to think of ourselves as not just sort of passive observers, because we were very engaged in the facilities plan and in questioning and reviewing and then approving. And so, and some of this is just the language of how it is, but it's also a way that I'm looking at our role, and our role is both to understand things and also to be actors on it. So number 6, number 7, and number 15 pretty much just say we understand something, but not necessarily that we have our authority to act on it. And then the other one is on number 9, where we talk about our monitoring the president's performance. This is an extremely important role that boards play. It's restricted here to our policies on employment, where we actually do really evaluate the president fully on her role in leading the college. So again, as we're evaluating our job, these are things that I would like my fellow board members just to think about as when we fill this out. Again, I don't have an objection to the document as it stands, but those were things that I thought about as I was reading through it.
Thank you.
Point of order?
Yep.
Is there any reason we cannot propose amendments to this document this time?
Because what I would recommend is maybe not doing it on the spot, because this was worked on with Dr. Manning and myself, and there was research that went into it. And so there might be some rationale in which a word was chosen as part of the HLC. So I would not, if we are going to, and it's fine, we can wait next month if we really feel like it, because we don't go through this. And so my question is, if we want to do that, I would say that we would come a little bit more and ask Dr. Manning to sort of talk about that, because we had worked on this and she and I had looked at several different tools. And so there might be some rationale, and part of that, why that word was chosen intentionally. And so sometimes there's reasons and sometimes it's brought forward without having that. So I think it would be important for us to be able to make sure we understand the intentionality of it, and that it meets criteria, and then we wouldn't be changing something that is recommended differently in terms of that. So while it might seem like a semantics thing, in some case there might be something else. And that's all I would say, is that if we felt that we wanted to have a bigger discussion on it, that we would put that out there and then have a little bit more to, you know, and so we can wait to hold off until February, because we do this at the end of, you know, this school year, if you will, in terms of that. So it's part of it is just getting it there. So
Yeah, I move that we table this for a month, so those issues can be addressed. I like those suggestions, but obviously we need to know if they're problematic in some way.
okay, so there is a motion on the table to approve it. Do we need to then take a roll call and deny that, or this is a point of order for parliamentary procedure then?
Right, so motion to table takes precedent.
So that there was a motion that you made. Do we have a wait?
Yeah, so, excuse me. So the motion to table takes precedent, so you will have to give me a second to think through this.
We'll need a
You
second
need a second
and
on
then a
hand,
vote.
and then a vote.
So do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Director Foley and a second by Director Baker to table this motion until,
the next board meeting.
okay, thank you. I just want to make sure that I caught the end of it, that was correctly, rather than a definite time. So we will take a vote, roll call or voice.
Boy, shoot. Really? Okay. A roll call is harder, so if we can do it.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so
that way.
Gwen, can you please do a roll call vote on
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mays,
Aye.
Director Moore Omakundi.
Aye.
Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Olson.
the? Aye. Okay. There you go.
And how would you like to proceed on it?
I think in talking, probably having some background provided to the board on some of the items from Dr. Manion. So Dr. Manion and I can talk after this meeting and put together the items that were brought up and where we might anticipate something or where sure we can make a semantics and where the thoughts were behind it. And then we can have a complete discussion. So if anybody else has questions around that, please get them to me within the week because we want to come prepared with that background ready at that. And then we'll send that out so people can read through the rationale and be prepared to discuss and then take action at the next meeting. Okay, thank you. So we are ready to move on to reports. So a few items and then I get to turn it over to I think Director Foley is going to take a big part of this today. So first of all, our very own MATC president, Dr. Martin, is listed among the Milwaukee Business Journal's 100 Power Brokers for 2023. So power brokers are considered the key movers and shakers in southeastern Wisconsin's business community. And they are the people who others turn to get something done. The annual list is compiled with input from Milwaukee Business Journal reporters, editors, and readers. So congratulations to Dr. Martin on that. The task force, if you remember that we had put together to look at board policies specifically around board policies related to board bylaws and their behavior, met for the first time. And so starting next month, we're going to have just a report on what that work is. My understanding is that work is to be completed by the end of this school year to be able to look at that review. So we'll make that a standing report as part of the chairperson's report so we can get updates on that because they have convened. And so wanted to move that forward. Director Foley attended the Wisconsin District Boards Association winter meeting in Madison, January 11th through the 13th. And also has lots of fun stuff to share related to that and all of the other pieces that he has. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Director Foley.
Thank you. I asked that the board receive copies of a couple of handouts from that meeting. And I don't intend to go into them in detail, but wanted to tell you what they are and perhaps direct you to a few things that might warrant your attention. One of the handouts is a two-sided document. It is looks like this. It is essentially the ask that was made of the legislature in the meetings with legislators following the District Boards Association meeting. So the ask was organized around 1, expanding the talent pool for Wisconsin employers, 2, making college more affordable, 3, reskilling and upskilling Wisconsin's current workforce, sustaining the technical college system innovation, and transforming financial aid to work for all students. I think if you are inclined to speak with your representatives or to encourage others to do so, you might want to organize your thoughts around those because they've already received this and are already thinking in these terms. And for the most part, the reaction from the legislators was very supportive of what we were being asked for. They have made no bones about telling us that the $6.5 billion surplus has already been spent 3 or 4 times in the minds of various people. But very few decisions have been made. The second thing from that meeting is we spent some time talking about and joking about the task of getting the District Boards Association bylaws adopted. They were adopted at this meeting. There's going to be a quick review of the policies and procedures relating to the election of officers of that association to make sure they now comport with the bylaws as they have been revised and adopted. After presentations about what's being asked for and why, and some of the lobbying strategy, Laura Bray and I and Rami, I never remember how to pronounce her name, Zelenikova, went to meet with a total of 5 members of the legislature, 4 representatives and a senator. The The people we met with were the senior staff person for Representative Tom Michalski, who is a brand new representative. And the young staffer we met with is on his third career since he turned 18. He's now in politics. Pretty young group there. Evan Goike was extremely supportive in all regards. Kayleen Haywood, who's the assistant minority leader, was very supportive. And Jessie Rodriguez was not only supportive, but a little chatty about her own relationship to MATC in the past and people that she knows who attend. Also very supportive. Senator Hutton, I think we only met with staff there who were polite, but non-committal in any regard. There is a general feeling about the tech colleges that seems to be very positive and more positive than the general feelings about the UW system. I don't know if that's fair, but it exists, and it's clearly a negative for them. I think it's one of the reasons why last year Layla Merrifield was so successful in negotiating an increase in funding for the tech college system in general, and also in getting policy changes that we've been trying to get made for half a decade. Whereas UW, that has, I don't know, 20 times the lobbyists, got nothing. So there's a little favorable cachet around the tech colleges at this point. That being said, I heard some fairly disturbing things about financial proposals that are on the table being discussed in the state legislature. They're all around tax policy. A significant group in the Republican majority appears to have decided that the $6.5 billion surplus should be given back to somebody, and it's not Uncle Sam, where most of it came from. The ways they want to get to that are problematic for us, I believe. One is to change to a flat tax system for income tax. And right now, the range of percentages tax rates are from, I believe it's 3.5 to 7.5 or 7.6%. And the proposal is to have a flat tax at 3.5%. Well, what that would mean is, first of all, loss of $5 billion in revenue, which you can do once this year, but there is no plan or proposal to deal with that deficit in years going forward. None. The second problem with it is if you think that taxes should be progressive, what you've just done is given a 4% tax increase to everyone above the poverty line and a 0% tax relief to everyone at or below the poverty line. It doesn't make any sense from a progressive tax structure. It's unsustainable over time. Another proposal that's apparently being considered is to grant Milwaukee County a 1% sales tax authority if 50% of that is used to reduce property taxes, and if the rest of the state gets an increase in shared revenue, but we do not. It's, give a little with one hand and take it all back with the other, and is essentially punitive, not to the tech colleges, but to the city. The third is a 30% sales tax. Again, it's not progressive. I'm sure you're already pay 30% more at the grocery store and have your rent taxed at 30%, which isn't taxed now, and various other things. It is designed to replace $5 billion of lost income. Nobody seems to have matched these up yet. But again, you probably have garnered my views about those proposals, but they are out there, they are real, and there are people that are supporting them. Next is that February 5th through 8th, the representatives of the District Boards Association are going to Washington, D.C. to have similar meetings with U.S. representatives and senators. I am planning to go. I don't know if anyone else is scheduled to go. But that will be interesting. There is a political theory called starving the beast. And it appears to be what is behind these tax proposals. That is, you cut revenue and then complain that there's a budget deficit and use that as an excuse for cutting programs, where the goal is actually nothing to do with tax revenue and everything to do with cutting those programs. That seems to me to be what's behind the income tax rate reduction and some of these other proposals. And that would affect us because they would have to find a way to cut $5 billion out of the state budget, assuming that this stuff isn't passed or isn't vetoed, and the veto sustained. Thank you.
Questions for Director Foley? Thank you for meeting with the legislators on behalf of the Technical College and advocating for us. We are ready then to move on to the president's report.
Oh, good afternoon, Chair Olson, faculty, staff, students, if there's any out there, and community. One of the things that makes our college really so special is the talented people who work here. And so I want to begin my report by doing some recognition for some folks who just received some awards. Is Dr. Josie Veal here? Okay, she's our public health officer, and she was named to the class of 2022 Notable Heroes in Healthcare by the Biz Times Media. Dr. Veal, she led the college during COVID-19 pandemic with strategies like case tracking, contact investigation, mask requirements, as well as initiatives like the on-campus vaccine clinics and information sessions. I don't think we have our instructor here, child development instructor, Selena Echevesta Duquette, received the Woman of the Year 2022 award at UMO's Hispanic Awards Banquet. She created a guidebook that would help parents and others identify the characteristics and initial warning signs of autism spectrum disorders. And Carl Meredith, I thought I saw you. There he is, way in the back. Business and Management Pathway Dean, I think will be coming up later, was selected as a Black Excellence Award of Greater Milwaukee honoree by the Luvinia Johnson Scholarship Foundation. The Black Excellence Awards began in 1985 as a way of saluting the best in the community and highlights individuals who exemplify the best qualities of leadership. And Carol certainly does that. So congratulations to all. Also, MATC downtown Milwaukee campus was voted Best of Milwaukee in the services rendered category presented by the Shepherd Express. The magazine's annual Reader Choice Award program asks readers to vote on businesses and services in various categories. So we're pretty happy about that. Also, Mayor Johnson joined one of our donors, Joe Shikoda, earlier this month at a press conference. You may have seen it on the news at our downtown campus here to highlight the Ellen and Joe Shikoda MATC Scholarship, which, as you all know, is a full ride opportunity for short-term certifications and diplomas that we offer here at the college. I have to say that we were thrilled to reach 1,000 applications for new, continuing, and returning students. After that press conference went out, we had another 1,000 applications come in within a 2-day period. So we're pretty happy about that. And also Julie Ebert and Frank Daly also joined. They were, as you recall, the first folks who actually donated 500,000 so we could get the first $1 million that allowed our first class to get started here. It was really great. We also had students who were recipients who were there and got to meet Joe Shikoda and thank him personally. I was very touched. It was a very heartwarming ceremony just to have the students and some of the faculty who also expressed gratitude that their students actually got to finish their program this past semester because of the scholarship. On January 18th, I had the pleasure of hosting the Ozaki County Chamber of Commerce on our Mequon campus. Kathleen Schilling of the Ozaki Economic Development and Pam King of Grafton Area Chamber joined me in welcoming the chamber members to the Mequon campus. We had the opportunity to share more information about our campus, the things that we do, as well as our business training opportunities through Workforce Solutions. Many of them expressed a desire to hire our students as interns, which was really great. So we had someone from the Career Hub speak to that. And also we talked about the scholarships that we offer. The community very supportive of MATC. Being in Ozaki County and just really looking forward to, of course, us getting more students on that campus in particular to help them with their employment needs. So now I'd like to turn over my report to the Mitchell Group. In the fall of 2021, MATC retained the services of the Mitchell Group, which is a leadership development and organizational consulting cohort, to conduct a series of focus groups with college leaders, faculty, and staff. 3 recommendations came out of that focus group, and they were to, number 1, focus on what is essential. Conduct mandatory DEI development and training, and we're doing a lot of training through DEI programs, and we also have some things that are on our sum total. And finally, to offer transformative leadership development. The Mitchell Group then developed an in-depth immersive program accompanied by coaching. And it was really great, and you'll hear from one of the coaches here tonight, Sandy Brown, who will probably talk about that process a little bit as well. The first 2 cohorts have been in training and the training program since last year. All those who are here and have been part of that training, why don't you just raise your hand? You can see, this is just the first half of the group that's gone through that training. The second 2 cohorts will be starting right now, very soon, this year, right now, in fact, this month. The Mitchell Group provided a video update, which I think that you all had a chance to look at. And then joining us today by, there, is Dr. Nancy Blair and Sandy Brown, just extraordinary, very talented facilitators and leaders of this project. So I will now turn it over to you. And to say any just general comments that you'd like to make before we open up to questions.
Sure. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for allowing us the time to share a little bit about the program. I apologize, Sandy and I both apologize that we tried very hard to make it a short report on the PowerPoint, but we couldn't keep it under 10 minutes. We had many valiant tries, but 10 was the best we could do. So I hope it didn't bore you too much. I would say for both of us and all the members of the Mitchell Group that we have been amazingly impressed and pleased with the response that we have gotten from the leaders who have participated in the Academy. Cohort 1 has been the Cabinet and the Council. Cohort 2 has been the first half of the Deans and Directors. I think they came in April, not really knowing what the heck they were getting into. Other than it was going to be 10 full day sessions that was going to take a lot of their time and energy. And I would just say that all of us have been pretty impressed with their level of commitment, their openness, their honesty, their self-examination of their own leadership and examination of the culture at MATC. The other thing I would like to say is, I think you saw in our presentation that we have a model of cultural transformation. And I think all of you know that cultural transformation takes time. The culture at MATC has been well ingrained and growing for 30 years. So a miracle is not going to occur overnight in the transformation of the culture, but we have been very asset-based to try to develop distinctions about what is already working and what is not working and what has been missing and what do we need to do about that. And the receptivity, the depth of conversations, the introspection has been impressive. So it's been very rewarding work for us as the facilitators, but I think, and I hope, equally rewarding for the participants. So I'll just start with that and then open up for questions, but I know Sandy wants to introduce herself a little bit too.
Sure. I really want to thank you all for this huge investment of time, money, and energy in a huge vision that you have. And it's been really a delight to work with Dr. Martin and to support her in actualizing a long-held vision. So working in partnership with her has been very rewarding. And it's also been really rewarding to be a coach with people. I was actually surprised that, people don't know who we are when we show up. And after session 1, people readily signed up for the coaching experience without even really knowing what is this coaching, who is this person. And I saw a great deal of hunger for people to take on their own development. As Nancy said, cultural transformation takes time, and so does development. And we created this program as a development program that takes time over time. And what we're looking for essentially is building the capacity for people to take what they know and integrate it into who they become as leaders in a consistent way that they can embody this way of being as they continue to lead the college in achieving its long-term goals. So again, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to talk with you today, and thank Dr. Martin for engaging with us in this process. So we wanted to find out from you if you had any questions remaining for us.
Dr. Baker?
Well, I guess. It was actually a very, I'm the first person to complain about long videos, and it was actually extremely interesting. And all the work you did, that it took a lot to get it down to, that place, and appreciate the slides that you're also given. My only question would be is there a role to engage the board? Is there something other than just the approval of the process that you see the board participating in?
Yeah, we'd love to get our hands on you if you'd let us.
Absolutely.
That would be up to you. I mean, you're part of the leaders of the institution, and as we keep pointing out to the leaders in our group, there's no such thing as the college. There's just the people who are in the college who make the culture. And I think part of that is with you as well. So if you're ever interested, we'd love to come see you in person, but we'd just warn you that this is not a training program, it's a development program, and we'll have you look deeply into your souls in no time. Beware.
Personally, I think it's critical. We always imagine that we're working alongside you, even though you may not be in this process, know much about it, or have access to the process. But if you found a way to engage in this process, I think it would be so powerful and beneficial for the college at large. And I think people in the institution would love to see you partake in something like that.
And if you're really serious about that, we have an upcoming possible opportunity. Cohorts 1 and 2 are coming together in session 10 to share their emerging visions of the healthy culture of equity and inclusion. And they're going to be sharing strategies, both their individual leadership strategies, but then their systemic strategies of what they want to have happen. So at a future board meeting, it would be, I think, great if we could come with representatives of those cohorts and share some of the strategies that they're working on and engage you in support and alignment with those strategies and the work that you do as a board.
Yep, I remember Director Case, Director Mendoza-Ramos, and I met with both of them and Dr. Martin when we brought them on board and had talked about those possibilities. So it's great to see the updates that we're receiving, and I think we're very open to it, and can vouch for Nancy saying digging deep into your soul. Having as an instructor in my doctoral program, those memories are still very deep, so it is not something to take lightly, so can definitely talk about that firsthand. So I do think that there are some opportunities. I think our conversations at the time were, let's roll this out and see where it is and do a check-in and have periodic updates to the board and keep open the possibilities for continued development. So I think that's something that we would like to maybe discuss and talk about. How do we start engaging the board now that you've sort of gotten things off the ground with leaders within the college? So let's maybe discuss that with Dr. Martin and talk about what that might look like.
Yeah, I think the last point that I want to make, it probably won't be the last, but anyway, the point I want to make right now is, and I speak for Nancy as well, we are both very mission-driven people, and we're more than just vendors. And that's how I'm putting myself into it. I know Nancy does well. I don't want to speak for you, but we've worked together forever. And we are so committed to having you achieve the vision that you set out for yourselves. And we also know what hard work it is. So whatever support you need, we want to collaborate with you on making what you want to have happen.
Anybody else?
Thanks, Nancy. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Next item on the agenda is our student center report, but Mr. Casper is unable to join us this evening, so we will move on to our diversity, equity, and inclusion report, and Ava Martinez will be joining us.
Good evening. I have 3 updates. I hope everyone is doing well. Last Friday, actually, we hosted the annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast at MATC downtown, and we had over 100 students, faculty, and staff join the event. It was a really wonderful event to not only get together as a community, but then also to get to hear from our guest speaker, Dr. Cedric Burrows at Marquette University, to really talk about what diversity, equity, and inclusion means from the MLK perspective. So it was also a great opportunity for us to be in community and also be able to talk to one another in person and also be able to hear from our students as well. Dr. Burrows really talked about Dr. King's legacy and how we are implementing that legacy through our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts here at MATC. And it was also a beautiful reminder of the beautiful community that we all share at MATC, and also the local Milwaukee area community, and also a reminder of some of the areas that we still need to work on, right? I think that when we talk about DEI and equity and inclusion, a lot of the programming really remind us of the things that we still have to work towards to make more of a just society and community. We also talked a little bit about the equity gaps that we have. I know in some of the smaller table discussions, there was a lot of discussion about how good it was to come together, but also having real conversations about the areas that we will continue to improve at MATC and within our community. Also, the breakfast was a great opportunity for us to reinforce the inclusion value at MATC throughout the district, but then also to really key in and focus on the equity strategic priority at the college. It was a pleasure being there as the MC. I had a wonderful time truly working with the DEI committee members, Dr. Shinda, who was one of the co-coordinators of the event, and also being able to see faculty and staff from across the district. Last Saturday, on January 21st, the Hispanic Serving Institution Committee hosted the very first annual bilingual student retreat at our Walker Square location, where we had around 35 bilingual students attend the retreat. It was a really great time, not only for the HSI team to coordinate something intentional and meaningful for our students, but also a great time to be able to be in community. We are very thankful to our HSI liaison, Arlene Garcia Novelli, for coordinating the team and having the vision to put the program together. At that event, the first annual Latinx student retreat, the students really learned about the notion of care, self-care, wellness, and also taking care of our mental health in the midst of the work that they do here at MATC. It was wonderful to host them for half a day. I was personally there as well for most of the retreat, and it was really wonderful to get to hear some of the needs that our students have, particularly in relation to wellness and mental health and their studies here. The last update that I have for you is that I'm happy to announce that Mr. William Smith III has been named our Title IX coordinator and equity officer at MATC under the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This position was updated to really focus on compliance related to Title IX and equity at MATC from the student lens and the student perspective. So we are very happy to welcome Will Smith to the DEI office and also to the DEI community as well. That concludes my report. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I welcome any questions that you may have. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is our enrollment report, and Dr. Adams with his slides to go along with that.
Good evening to everyone today.
We've already submitted to you our detailed numbers, but I did just want to update where we were as of this morning, as of today. Our FTEs for the spring are now at 3,372. So we are approximately 90.84% of our FTEs for the spring. And year to date, we're at 7,892. We're at 95.08% of our FTE goal of 8,300. We have classes, our 12-week classes begin on February 12th, and then our 8-week classes begin in March. So we're continuing to enroll students. This was our, we're continuing to enroll students as we continue to go forward. As we look right now, overall, as of today, we are approximately 1.5% ahead of where we were last year in the spring. And the report also includes information as far as the budget adjustments, the budget included information on the impact of the revenue as far as our enrollment is concerned. And these are the numbers that you were wanting for the past semester. So we do the comparison of the 3 semesters. So are there any questions regarding this? We have not updated the Hispanic enrollment yet for that will be approximately a couple of more months before we have that number. So right now we're still approximately at the 19%.
Not seeing any. I'm just waiting to see if people are still processing or what's happening here.
Not a problem.
Okay, I'm not seeing any questions, so thank you for the updates.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Milwaukee PBS General Manager's Report, and we have Dan Breivik.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Olson, board members, Dr. Martin. TV Development Department has been hard at work raising funds in support of your Milwaukee PBS stations. The December pledge drive ended on December 19th with 1,391 donors, giving a total of $230,989 to support Milwaukee PBS. 49% of those donors were either new or rejoining members, and 31% signed up as sustaining partners. That means that they have committed to give their certain dollar amount donation every month automatically to the station. It's interesting to note that a quarter of the donations that came in came via our website or by using text to give on your smartphone. And some people even donated through the QR code that we showed on the screen during pledge breaks. Milwaukee PBS's community support finished the first half of this fiscal year at just over $4,016,000. We are now at 64% of our target of $6.3 million for the fiscal year. And the month of December itself was fairly strong. We recorded $1.3 million of revenue in the month of December. I've previously mentioned here the free will software, which allows anyone with a basic estate plan to create their own last will and testament. So far, we have been made aware that individuals using the software have earmarked some $3.5 million in their estate plans as future bequests to benefit Milwaukee PBS. During the just concluded calendar year of 2022, based on all-day 24-hour viewing, or what we used to be calling sign-on to sign-off, Milwaukee PBS's Channel 10 was the top-rated PBS station among all overnight Nielsen metered markets in the United States. During the same time frame, in primetime viewing, Milwaukee PBS was ranked number 3 of all PBS stations in prime time for the entire calendar year of 2022. We are well underway in our transition to moving the Joint Master Control operation from the DCA in Jacksonville, Florida, as you are aware, to the Educational Communications Board Master Control operation in Madison. We began our final testing just last Tuesday, and the final switchover of all our Master Control duties to Madison is on target for a January 30th switchover. MATC's winter commencement ceremony was broadcast on Saturday, January 7th. And upcoming this February, the television and video production students will begin taping their student workshop programs, which will be airing on Channel 36 on Saturday nights starting on March 11th. Thank you for your time. Any questions?
Happened to turn on PBS when that re-airing was, and I totally forgot about it. It was right when I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. And our last, and I think I see Remy on there, who will be doing our legislative matters report. So she will be joining us virtually. So Remy Zonkova.
Thank you, Director Olson. Good evening, everyone. And I apologize, I had to step away when I thought I saw Director Foley giving his update, and I think I saw you using the District Boards Association one pager, and that was sort of the bulk of my report. I'm sure you did an excellent job. If there are any questions, I do apologize. I actually had to take a phone call, so I was watching but not able to listen. So I'll just fill in the few gaps that I'm sure remain after Director Foley's report specific to the lobby day. I did think it was a very good, successful day overall. Some good meetings. We met with a couple of new staff members for new legislative offices, as well as some key members on the Joint Finance Committee. I just want to point out that tonight is the Governor's State of the State. It's scheduled for 7 p.m. this evening. The full text of the governor's speech will be released later. I expect the governor to highlight several buckets of topics this evening. Workforce, of course, being one of them, perhaps with the lens on the healthcare workforce, shared revenue, clean energy, mental and behavioral health, kind of in the education and healthcare space, and then also likely some childcare issues, some childcare items as well. So there may be other items, but I expect those areas to be highlighted fairly heavily this evening. So if folks are home in time, tune in 7 p.m. on Wisconsin Eye and other local options. I would assume it's also broadcast on public television. Even though it's very busy right now and there's a lot of activity in the state capitol, a lot of the activity is more around informational meetings, introductory meetings, individuals getting to know the new legislators and new staff. So it's been a whirlwind in that sense, but at the same time, activity is sort of paused right now as we wait for the governor to introduce his budget recommendation. I know I sound like a broken record. That's coming on February 15th, and there is a large surplus, of course, that the governor and the legislature has at their disposal to fill in some of the needs that we are seeing across our state. So once that budget recommendation is introduced, we'll start with that budget process and then referring back to what was reported out by Director Foley with some of the technical college specific items. Those will, of course, be priorities during the budget cycle. We continue to monitor the legislative study committees, as I've mentioned in prior meetings, 2 committees there. The committees are attempting to wrap up their work, both on the increase in offender employment opportunities, as well as the occupational licensing committee. I expect some bill drafts to start circulating soon. They have to go through a joint committee process before they can go to a standing committee process. I expect more bill drafts to come out of the occupational licensing committee and more controversy and folks being not quite maybe on the same table in that space, and perhaps more will rally around the increase in offender employment opportunities. So we'll just continue to monitor both of those committees, and I'll update the board and our legislative task force as we move forward. I've also included on the report just a link to the legislature's homepage, so you can access a list of all the new legislators, see the committee assignments, etc. We have a lot of new legislators representing our district, and we also have a new chair of technical colleges in the Senate as well. So some changes there, and I just wanted to make sure the board was informed of some of those new committee assignments, and also have access to information for new legislators who we are getting to know. And then, federal government, we of course saw the action from earlier this year. The government at least is funded through September. So some good news there. But for the most part, focusing on some state efforts right now in the budget process at the state level. So with that, I will conclude my report and take any questions. Or Director Foley, if there's anything you want me to add, I apologize. I came in at the very tail end of your report. So let me know if I can provide any extra commentary there.
I was gonna test you on my report. Now I'll have to pass.
Well, I hope you gave a good report because I generally thought it was a pretty successful day. So hopefully you didn't say otherwise. I
have
thought
no
you did
question.
a great job. I thought the team did a really great job in the meeting. So good work.
I don't see any questions, so thank you, Remy.
Hey, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. We will now move on to the board monitoring section of the agenda and Dr. Dockmore and boutique programs, which I know there is something about there. So
Thank you, Chair Olson, and good evening. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to present in person today. So I have some deans that are going to join us at this point. So in addition to the PowerPoint, we'd like to give you some highlights about some of these unique programs. Just to give you an idea, this really goes with our mission in making a difference in the community. I hope that we can show some of the unique, efforts that are happening, not only in Milwaukee, but in the state, because some of these programs are unique in the state as well. So we'll just do the presentations and then we'll take any questions. With this said, I'd like to ask Dr. Camilla Goodwin and Dean Carl Meredith to join me at this time.
Good evening. I am Dr. Kamala Goodwin. I'm the Dean of the STEM pathway. And the program that I'm representing this evening is the Computer Electronics Technology Program. And I do believe that you have a copy of the slides that Dr. Dockmore presented. If you have any particular questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. But just a little bit about the program. As you see there, it's students learn to develop and install, maintain, and troubleshoot and repair computers and processors in manufacturing and control systems. They work with edge computers, smart sensors, and networking hardware and software. This program is manufacturing and hardware focused, and it's often compared to some IT programs. Are there any additional questions related to the Computer Electronic Technology program?
Dr. Foley.
How many students do we have enrolled in the program?
Thank you for answering the question. Compared to last spring, we are down about 26%. We, meaning me and my department chair, have identified that it's in close competition with an IT program. It's a computer support specialist program through IT. And we believe students are getting them both mixed up because they both have the word computer listed in there. But my department chair is working to set the program apart from the IT program and adding some additional specialty courses in the computer electronics course. What's nice and unique about the Computer Electronics Technology program is that the first 2 semesters are likened to the other electronic programs. So students start out the same, and after the second semester, if they decide they want to major in another electronics technology area, they're able to do that. But we are working to distinguish it from our IT program.
Do we have any specific industry partners for this?
We don't. Our closest partner in our electronics program overall is MSOE, but for this particular program, no.
Okay. Have you approached Rockwell Automation?
My department chair, who's Tom Hurley, does have close partnerships with Rockwell Automation, but we believe that one of the issues with the low enrollment is the distinguishing between this and the IT program and just some of the latter courses within the associate degree area.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions for Dr. Goodwin. Good evening, I'm Carl Meredith. I'm the Dean of the Business Management Pathway. The program that I want to briefly highlight is our Real Estate Broker Associate Program. You all have received information about that. I'm certainly happy to entertain any questions and provide a few details about that program. This is a 12-credit technical diploma program, and it really serves as a stepping stone credential for our students that are seeking an associate's degree in real estate. Basically, the unique aspect of this particular program is that it prepares students to sit for licensure exams for the state
and earn a certificate, and then they can take that certificate and use that as a credential to go and sit and take their actual license exam. This program has grown exponentially since 2020, 144%. It's a small number of students enrolled. As of 2022, we had approximately 23 students complete the technical diploma. But ideally, we've seen that growth primarily because we've adjusted our modality of the courses that we offer. We've added virtual synchronous courses, as well as we've offered 8-week courses. We've transitioned a considerable component of that program to accelerate the time it takes students to actually complete those certificates and go sit for the exam. And we also have introduced a hybrid option for students as well. So they spend a portion of their time on campus taking classes, and they do some additional online work. So we expect to continue to see growth in this program. Obviously, it kind of coincides with the real estate market. As we've seen, the real estate market has been highly successful over the last couple of years. So, yes.
How many people are enrolled in our associate degree program?
So we have approximately 276 students total enrolled in our associates program. Last I checked was approximately a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, students will enroll in the associate's degree program to make it financial aidable, oftentimes with no necessarily intention to complete the associate's degree, but they can use that financial aid to complete these certificates. And so we see a significantly higher completion rate for our certificate program than we do our associate program. What they will do if they want the associates, they'll usually do an individualized technical studies option, and they'll partner that with entrepreneurship or business management with an intent to go on and get their associate's degree and their bachelor's degree.
So you're saying our students are smarter than the average late designer?
Yeah, they know how to take advantage of getting that financial aid to finance their certificate. And we obviously work very closely with them to try and get them to go on and continue their associates. And some of them do come back. We've had a number of successful students that have come back and actually gone on and are completing their bachelor's at UW-Milwaukee and other schools locally, and even a few that actually have started their own firm.
But to be licensed, do they have to complete an associate degree to get the license? No, you just have to sit for that.
They have to sit for that exam, and we provide the credentials that enable them to do that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No other questions? Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to Dean Alpha, and then Dean Dora, and then Dean Philip, the donor. And also want to acknowledge that I have an instructional chair via Zoom with us, Gabe Shaw. So we'll have his presentation at the end as well. So.
Next. Thank you. I'm Dr. Eric Goss, Dean of the Healthcare Pathway, and you've received the information about our cardiovascular technology programs. They originally started as just the invasive program about 25 years ago, and that focuses on heart catheterization, so things like a stent or an angioplasty or a camera to look at heart during cardiovascular events. About 5 years after that, the echocardiography program was added as a tract, so you could choose either or, and they shared similar curriculum. About 3 years ago, the state asked us to split the programs apart because of how they measure outcomes. If you were in the invasive tract, you would never achieve the echo outcomes and vice versa. So they split them up with unique course numbers, so they each had their own set of outcomes. The invasive program is currently the only one in the state training heart cath lab skills. Echocardiography has been the only program in the state until about 1.5 years ago, when NWTC in Green Bay launched a program, and they came to us and we provided information. So they are doing that as well. We currently have 34 students in the invasive program and 51 students in the echo program. The job outlook is good, the pay is excellent, and we are really focusing on upgrading our equipment to be cutting edge. One thing our echocardiography program does do is in the fall semester, they offer a community clinic. So they will see patients 1 day a week in conjunction with the Bread of Healing free clinic for patients that need that care. The results are then shared with the cardiologist at Columbia St. Mary's, who sponsors the Bread of Healing Clinic. So one of their clinicals is actually providing free echocardiography to community members, and they are booked all semester long. One new program we are launching in July is related to this. It is diagnostic medical sonography, or in June, excuse me. So that'll be our third imaging program in this same series of courses. It is similar to echo, but it is everything but the heart. So it is prenatal care, it is other organs. So that's a new program. We already have 30 students waiting to get into that program, and they will start in July. Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Becky Alsop, Dean for Manufacturing, Construction, and Transportation Pathway. The program I'm here to talk about, unless you have questions about the other, is the Dental Lab Technician Program. This is a program that is literally back from the brink, if you will, because 2 years ago, well, actually 3, we nearly shut the program down. We had it's a one-woman show. We have one full-time instructor, and the instructor was retiring. The enrollment had been declining, but I'm really proud to say that this is a growing program now. It is fairly unique. It belongs in manufacturing, construction, transportation, as opposed to healthcare, because the technicians are actually making the things that go in your mouth. So they're not seeing patients and helping apply or insert or attach things, but they're actually making the crowns and dentures and other bridges and things that would go in your mouth. So they feel quite at home in our manufacturing group, and we're happy to have them there. It is a good wage. The starting folks are making over $51,000. It's still a small group of students, but it's been growing. As a new instructor, I couldn't ask for more. The lab is being revamped and has a lot of new updated equipment. A lot of dated equipment has been disposed of. I signed a lot of disposal forms, so I was happy about that. And she's also last year was recognized as Teacher of the Year by the National Board for Dental Lab Technicians. So we're very proud of her. This year she is now on the National Board, and she is excited to see that many of her students are also becoming National Board members. So she's helping them get exposure to things on a larger level than just our local community. But the jobs are there, and it's a bright future for these people.
Thanks, Becky. Just for clarification, this is not included in your slides.
Right.
So we had like almost 40 programs. So I selected some to share with you, and the deans are sharing even some more. So.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Dr. Mike City, Dean of the Creative Arts Design and Media Pathway. So I'm here to talk about what is actually an embedded tech diploma for our TV and video production program. This is actually one of the only programs of its kind in the Midwest. And so to some extent, it's kind of considered within industry locally to be almost a terminal degree, because there really isn't a lot of other competition, in the Midwest for this program. So this program especially really highlights the importance of our relationship with Milwaukee Public Television. We hear from updates from Dan frequently. As students go up to the 4th floor of the C building and are literally immersed in the Milwaukee Public Television studios, and our labs up there are right alongside with them. So students from day one actually have to go in through Milwaukee Public Television's entrance and have to be buzzed in, and they're there literally right in with Milwaukee Public Television. So that's very exciting for our students, obviously, to be up there, and they're very hands-on. So day one, they are working on the equipment, they're doing production, and they're really part of a production team and everything that they do within the program. So they're working on state-of-the-art technology. This year, we're going to be, we actually just purchased a new 4K camera system in Studio D, and that will be installed this year. So that's really an investment in the program, you know, in its longevity over many years to come. You know, part of, you know, what we do with Milwaukee Public Television is we have the student production, which Dan talks about often, including Letters to Santa, which aired back in December. I actually volunteered my 3-year-old to serve in Letters to Santa, and that was a lot of fun for us. You know, and it's great to see that that's kind of coming back after the pandemic and taking a few years off. So we bring in students from around the Midwest because of the unique nature of the program, not just from the Milwaukee community, but we serve students from around the state and around the Midwest. And then those graduates also not only will work here for every major television studio in the area, but then also will work all around the state and all over the Midwest and actually all over the country as well. So there's a lot of success of our students as a result of this program. The faculty, one of the observations anecdotally that I really have with this program is that the faculty are extremely engaged. You know, they love doing what they're doing. They love teaching the students. They love being a part of that environment up there. And the students are equally as engaged. And that really lends itself a lot to the retention of this program. We kind of really plateau with the enrollment in the program because of the fact that we're limited a little bit on the size of the space with the labs. And one of the things, the data points that I really want to focus on though with regard to retention is the fact that in a review of our equity gap data, students of color actually are 16% more successful in this program than all of the other MATC programs on average. So because of the fact that there's such an inclusive environment up there, everybody's really, really engaged and they have so much support from the faculty, as well as the educational assistants in that program, that really contributes to really good success rates for our students of color in this program. So I'd say, you know, by all means, this program is really fulfilling the mission of MATC in a lot of different ways. In its reach to the community and in the partnership with Milwaukee Public Television that we value greatly. So thanks for the opportunity to talk tonight about this program.
Okay.
Questions? Yeah. Fire away.
Video production and engineering, very dear to my heart. So
Sure.
Son does for a living.
Great.
Help me differentiate this from the video programs that I know we already have. What this is a production assistant program?
Yeah, so it's
versus
essentially
video
just
engineering?
it's embedded within that. So it's aligning the coursework with, you know, the specific needs that, you know, are part of that really focuses on that aspect of the production environment. So students that are in the associate's degree, they'll go out and, you know, they'll get all of the, you know, the bits of the program that are pieced together to get, you know, the entirety of that. But the tech diploma actually is in preparation for those specific hands-on pieces of it.
I lost you.
So-
For that they are more a production assistant, then they won't necessarily operate a camera
Right.
or be in front of engineering screens.
You got it, yeah.
They're
So-
more just the PA.
Yeah, and so they're more, you know, kind of a support role, and then hopefully kind of a foot in the door that if they continue on to get their associate's degree later on down the road, that they can achieve more in their career.
Massive demand.
Yeah,
Yeah, seriously.
and it'll be there. I mean, TV's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And then we're gonna turn over to Gabe. So
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Thanks for having me as a part of this. My name is Gabriel Schaff. I'm the program coordinator for the funeral service program over at the West Dallas campus. I actually just wrapped up an embalming lab, so I'm scrubbed up, you might say. I was asked just to provide some highlights and a few challenges that we're looking at into the future. So I'll try and keep this brief, at least down to 30 minutes. First of all, numbers and growth across the board. I know attendance was mentioned for the school. Our program itself is up 11% compared to last year. And that includes students that are actually in the program with us now and students who are going through their general courses to get into the program. With the class of 2022, we graduated 22 students, which was the highest that we've seen since the time I've been here. I think my first year here was 8 years ago and we had 26 students. So last year we graduated 22. That was quickly eclipsed by this year. We now have 30 students in our program that are set to graduate in the class of 2023. So really exciting. Our building is quite full and there's a lot to do. Couple of things to give credit to for this is the revision in state curriculum. I'm sure you all remember that back in, it was 2019. We basically took our program from the 93 credits that were required through the state down to 64. So that's been a lot more appealing to students who are interested in this profession. We have worked on some initiatives, creating some shared program agreements. We now have shared program agreements with Blackhawk Tech, Gateway, Fox Valley, Northwoods, and Chippewa Valley Technical College, where students there can attend all the general courses at that location and then be pipelined into our program. So people appreciate or students appreciate the ability to take their courses there, stay home if they have a home and a family up in that area, and then be able to join us down the road. We do have a high flex delivery model now, and that allows students from greater distances to participate in the courses as well. So theoretically, I could have a student from a couple hours away. They would come down 1 day a week. They would participate in the labs that we have face-to-face. And then the rest of the week, they could be at home and attend online or through watching the recordings. And that's been a really big benefit to, again, some of those folks who own homes and would find it otherwise really hard to relocate to Milwaukee for a year. We have a great recruiting setup through our apprentice course. We teach, since 2018, we have taught a state apprentice course on behalf of the state of Wisconsin for the funeral service apprentice license. We're the only, it is available for other people in the profession to teach it, but we are the only game in town right now. So anybody who wants to be an apprentice with the state of Wisconsin as a funeral director has to come through here. So that gives them a chance to talk to us face-to-face, tour the facility, learn more about the program. And we do have a lot of people come back through as members of the actual program. Also, I do want to throw a shout out to just our pathway team and our advisors. We have a really great working relationship with them. They've done a lot to give the right information to students asking about our program. We communicate really well back and forth to support students when the needs arise. And that's really been helpful as well to just be on the same page with that group. Beyond numbers and growth, some other highlights. Students in our program, when they graduate to become licensed directors in the state, have to pass a national board exam. In 2021, we had a 77% pass rate in the arts section, while the national average was 67. We also had an 83% pass rate in the sciences section. The national average was 57. So we did really well with 2021. 2022, I'll admit we slipped a touch. We got an 85% pass rate in the arts. The average though was 69%, and we're at a 68% pass rate in sciences, with the national average being 64. The thing to note though that's really exciting for us is we have had a lot of students who maybe weren't successful as first-time takers of those boards, where within a few months they studied, prepared, and came back and took it again and are licensed and working in the state. Those are some stats that they don't really maintain or promote as much as they do with first-time takers, though in the future they are considering that. But it is great to see our students getting out there, taking this degree, getting licensed, and finding some employment. Few other highlights. Embalming lab, like I said, I just got done working there today. We have a really great hands-on embalming lab. If anybody ever wants to check it out, let me know. But we get cases donated from the medical examiner's office and local funeral homes, families who might want to donate their loved ones who are to be cremated. Sometimes they want to donate for education, but it gives our students a chance to have hands-on training, embalming, dressing, casketing, cosmetizing, and learning those competencies before they head out into the workforce. And I, not to brag, but I have students who will come in here and say, hey, that thing you showed me last week, we had a similar problem show up at work, and I showed my boss how to fix whatever, and he couldn't believe it. He'd never heard of that. So we're getting the students to the point where they're comfortable enough to show off what they're doing at work already, which is pretty cool. New equipment. Last year, we added an anatomage table. This is something that MATC has in a couple of other departments, but basically picture like a life-size iPad that shows the body. Really, really great scans of the human body. We use that for multiple courses, and it's coming really handy with the high flex and the online delivery as well. We also have what's called a syndaver, a synthetic cadaver, complete with a skeletal structure, organs, some vasculature, and that's been really handy for the apprentice course and the other courses as well to, again, where we can't show what we do with a live body, but we can demonstrate that through a synthetic model as well. Incredible training opportunities. I don't know how much time I have left here, but incredible training opportunities. We're in a great location with our professional groups, our state associations, our national association, and our students throughout the year are actively participating in events that they're hosting and putting on. And another shout out to our dedicated faculty. We have 3 full-time, we have 2 part-time, and we are pretty busy, all day, every day, into the weekends and the nights, just putting together curriculum for the class, continuing to develop what we offer here to the students, and we're all on board, and it's working out beautifully. I have a couple of challenges, we could touch on. The real big one, though, is just facility growth. With this influx of students and the growth of students, like I said, we have 30 right now. Our classrooms are pretty packed, and with the hands-on learning, the lab opportunities, and if we want to continue to the growth, we need to make sure that we have the space to accommodate that. As many of you know, we were looking into possibly joining in with a medical examiner's office as they set up a new building out in Watertown Plank. Unfortunately, that fell through. We were told by the county exec that what we do compared to what they do doesn't really fit into the plans for the building. So we still have a great relationship with the ME's office. This is more on the county's decision and maybe a little bit on the state side of things, but that puts us at a place where, we're good where we are for now, but as we grow, we definitely need to consider updating, maybe getting a larger space. Along with that, just new technology, the ability to broadcast online. It is piecemealed together a little bit here with some cameras and some parts and things that we brought from home, some things that IT has given us from the West Dallas group, but we could really use an overhaul in terms of that if we want to continue to grow this program. Honestly, not to toot our own horn, but I think we've been doing a really great job these past few years in growing our program, building our program, marketing our program. And we're at a point now where we do have an opportunity to become a destination program, not just to people in this state, but in the Midwest. We have a great chance at just making some overhauls and some investments into what we do to increase our numbers and make MATC a place to go to become a licensed funeral professional. So the future is bright. I appreciate you all for your time and your support. And with that, I'll take your questions.
I want to say thank you for keeping it to 30 minutes, Gabe.
In my best, yeah.
I hope you can see the passion and the dedication though here. I mean, it's really great. So thank you for that. Yeah. Any questions?
Are there programs at the other Wisconsin technical colleges that are unique to one of them?
Yes.
Do we look at those from time to time and see if there's enough demand that we should be doing them too?
We do actually, and sometimes uniqueness is defined in different ways, meaning to say you're probably an IT expert, like the cybersecurity versus some other program that has elements of cybersecurity. We are unique. It's only a program with a unique code, but there's some other similar programs and some, common courses. We can look into that.
I just think it'd be a good practice. I mean, I hear at the district board association meetings about programs that I've not heard about being here. On the other hand, I don't know all the programs here by any means. I suspect you and Dr. Martin are the only ones that do. But it just seems to me to make sense to be a best practice to say, well, what else is somebody doing that we're not, and should we consider that from time to time?
Definitely. Thanks. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Right, like not the level of excitement you want to see on that. It makes me want to consider it. Next item under board monitoring is our Moonshot projects with Dr. Mannion, and we did receive a video in advance of that. So,
good evening, everyone. So you saw the video. It's Oscar season. So we do actually have the project leads here. We have Barb Panel, who's overseeing our academic maps. Sadiq Isahaki is our Dean of General Education. I thought maybe you did earlier, but he's overseeing the math, and Tom Giles not here tonight, and Sarah Kappert here is with supporting returning adult learners. So they have all the details, but if you have any questions about ATD or Moonshot, I'm happy to answer those. We didn't know if we could bring a crowd up here at the end of the meeting, but however you'd like to proceed.
I I just want to say I was very excited to see the math piece. As long as I've been involved in workforce development and technical education, which is like a long time, unfortunately, the math piece is always an issue. And I just think the approach sounds really interesting. I'm eager to see our results as we go forward, but to take it head on and with this sort of innovation, it's very exciting.
It is, and I feel really guilty sitting up here while you say that with a compliment. Did you want to pop up and say anything?
Not really.
Oh. I'll at least take the acknowledgement. Just because I don't want to feel alone, really.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know how I want to.
We're very excited about being able to use this model to really close achievement gaps. That's the most significant part for me. That we're getting students who otherwise wouldn't have been able to take math in their first semester or second semester, taking it now. And the data shows very clearly that if a student succeeds in their math in their first year of college, most likely graduate on time and do well as well. So.
I think this is actually for you, Dr. Mangan. We heard from PBS that the diversity and inclusive group at PBS has resulted in there being a 16% higher completion or graduation rate. I didn't quite get what the number was then in, I don't know if it's all of the programs or some. I'm just wondering if we have the data that could show us a relationship between the number of faculty, if you will, yes, it's faculty in a specific, but also in a broad sense, who are persons of color, and graduation rates. See if we can demonstrate, since you're a numbers person, a relationship between those two things. I mean, we've heard for decades that there is a relationship between the social status of faculty versus, it might be enrollment, it might be graduation rates or others, but I'm just wondering, you don't need to answer this now, but do we have data that would show that is or is not a correlation at this particular institution?
All right, duly noted. Thank you.
Where's your enthralling video? Everybody's speechless.
All right, let's remember me for nomination.
I will. I got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much
for coming up. On to new business. Is there any new business?
Yeah, so I would like to hear either back at a board meeting or in response from the administration in public comments. There were issues raised to us about Walker Square, which is, an interesting issue in itself in terms of dealing with staffing or whatever. And then there was a separate issue embedded in there about GED, HSED, and ELL, and how it's now in a non-academic area, community ed, and how that's working, what our planning is. And so I think the board, I would like to see more information on that, whether we have that conversation here as a review, or whether it's information that's like sorted through us, and then we decide whether to come forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? If not, just a reminder of some future events and some announcements. The ACCT National Legislative Summit in DC, I believe, Director Fuller, are you attending that?
Yes.
And then the Public Media Summit, February 27th to March 1st. Director Fuller, are you attending that?
Don't know yet.
Okay. And then our next time we're together is Tuesday, February 28th for our next monthly meeting. And based on that, I will move to item 10, closed session.
I move that the district board convene into closed session pursuant to section 19.851C of the Wisconsin statutes to discuss item 10A, president's semi-annual performance evaluation, to consider performance evaluation data of the president over whom the board exercises responsibility. The board may reconvene into open session to take action on matters discussed in closed session under item 10A if necessary.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Motion by Director Case and a second by Director Mays to enter into closed session. Could we please have a roll call vote?
Director Foley,
Aye.
Director Mays,
Aye.
Director Moore Umakunde. Director Moore Umakunde. Director Baker,
Aye.
Director Case,
Aye.
Director Olson.
Aye.
All right, one more time.
Yep.
Director Moore Umakunde.
Aye, sorry, I was on mute.
Thank you. Okay, we will take a quick stand-up move around before